Welcome back to this session. We continue to discuss the areas that an entrepreneur has to go through to become effective. In the lesson before this one, we looked at, I just do a quick recap on the mindset. We define the mindset as a sum total of the way a person thinks and acts based on the thought pattern which influences that person to adopt a particular attitude. And we looked at a number of points here which shows some of the right things an entrepreneur should think about or should think like. For example, the entrepreneur thinks that every problem has a business opportunity in it, and that the entrepreneur has the ability to create a solution given time and chance, etc. And also we consider a number of aspects. Now here, the next lesson, I want us to look at fundamentally the cycle of change that you require to become an effective entrepreneur and business owner. Also look at the introduction to cost-benefit analysis. Cost-benefit analysis is much more of a Unit 3 topic, but to set the scene, we will discuss in brief. Now the question I can ask is, why change? Let me give you an example before we go into some of the points. Have you ever read the Bible? Okay, if you've read the Bible, there God talks about promises. There God talks about good things that may come your way if you obey them. If you obeyed God. And let's talk about heaven. Heaven is depicted as a beautiful place. But of course, to attend to that goal, there is a process of change. In the same way, when you set out to become an entrepreneur, you want to launch businesses, you want to invest. That is in the far future. For you to attain that goal, very beautiful state of attainment, definitely in the state conditions you are now, you cannot be that or handle that unless you change. That's very important. Unless you change. It's like when you went into the first grade in school and you admired somebody who's at the university. Of course, the admiration is like a future goal. You'd like to be like them. But where you are now, you can't be that unless you change. So there must be a process of change that should take place in you for you to become that effective entrepreneur. Now let's have a look at some of the things that will help you to identify or to attain the change. I call these useful points, very useful points indeed. Some of them are very hard points to stomach. Others are quite easy to stomach because some of it you're doing it already. And probably you have to become more proactive in order for you to change. You have to take a very good inventory test of yourself, see which areas of your life can help you to become that effective entrepreneur. The first thing, the contacts you keep. The contacts you keep has an influence on some decisions that you make. One of the first things that I tell students when they come on this course is that look at your mobile phones or your phone book or your contact book. Can you update or upgrade or altogether get a new contact list and begin to put in contacts which can help you drive your entrepreneurial life forward? So check those people in your phone at the moment. How many of those can help you analyze a business idea? How many of you can help? How many of those in the contacts can help you to push your business idea forward? If you can find 50% of those in your contacts, well and good. If it's less than 50%, I think you begin to change your contacts. And at this point in time, and I'm not saying throw away those social contacts you have in the phone. Just get another set of contact, another book or another phone in which you put business contacts. Those people you think can help you to go forward. Secondly, the books you read. What type of books do you read? The mind will begin to make decisions based on the information that you acquire. You must spend time to go and read about entrepreneurs, how those people succeeded, how they failed, because both the failures and success points are part of the journey of an entrepreneur. Because if you don't read about others or information on things that you want to do, you find that you'll be uninformed. And once you're not informed, you won't make the right decisions. Because to invest or to do business it's got to do with the right information that you receive. Are you up to date? Do you know what's happening in the world economies? Because in those kind of things you can find opportunities. So it's very important, fundamentally important for you to read the right books. The places or meetings you attend. The places or meetings you attend can in fact define the type of contacts you begin to keep. Because in meetings, we go there and meet other people and we form our new networks. Now those networks, are they helping us in our business? Therefore, as an entrepreneur, you must begin to look for meetings which can develop you. Because in there, you're going to meet people of the same mind, or people who are planning to do business in your interest, or people who have been through what you're planning to do. They might offer you counsel. It's very important. Remember, we did in the first session, we looked at mentorship. That those can be found in the places you go to or meetings you attend. The language you use. Now, when you become an entrepreneur, for example, let's talk about jargon. These are the type of words that you use when you're dealing a certain discipline. Those people in engineering, there's a certain way that they use words, in chemistry, in business, etc. So you find that when you go into business as an entrepreneur, you're going to find a certain type of language that is used. Have you ever heard of the word fiscal? So, oh, what's fiscal? F-I-S-C-A-L. That has to do with finances. So you need to begin to read the right books, change your language, sound like an entrepreneur. Because when you go to discuss a business deal, you must come out professionally suitable in that environment. And people will realize that actually he is a true entrepreneur who knows what they're talking about. The way you dress. Dress code is very important. As I've discovered recently, in training other people when they come to our learning center, there's one area that we talk about in terms of dressing. Some companies actually dictate the way you dress because the environment in which they operate demands that the dress code be that way. Now, as an entrepreneur, when you are meeting people for business, how do you dress? How do you present yourself? You've got to look at that. And the way you determine is the area, the realm of your business interest. How do people look like? And you can only determine this if you attend their meetings. If you go and watch the developments or reports on these businesses. If you're in a sports shop, for example, I don't expect you to be in a suit. If the manager says we need to look like sportsmen, so we wear clothes like that. Or if it's you yourself going to a business meeting, we're expecting other chief executives, you must find out the dress code. It's important. It's important the way you dress as well, because the dressing also carries a message about yourself. the way you view your own family. As an entrepreneur, you discover that you'll be spending much more time than an ordinary employee on your business development. But I want to encourage you that never forget your own family. If you're married and got children, your wife is very important, and your children. You must schedule in time for your family. Because any successful thing that you do in this life and it hurts your family, for me it's a total failure. Because it's only satisfying you as an individual with ego to succeed, maybe just get a lot of money while your own family is hurt. The first port of call is make sure in your business as an entrepreneur, what you do must help and support your family. It must be something that your family also enjoys, in the sense that you create time for them as well. You have to discuss this. So the way you view of family is very important in business. You may argue with me that some entrepreneurs who are very successful and they are horrible at looking after their families. For me, I say they are total failures. For what are they living for? If they cannot save God, they cannot look after their families, what are they living for? So you are only a successful person in context. When you attend to what you wanted to attend, if that's what is in your heart and God-given as well, then you must fit in the context of society, how you help others. There's a moral reason why you do business. It must make sure that you look at your family. The value you place on timekeeping. As an entrepreneur, how many times have you been to an appointment and you find that the person you were waiting for is 20 minutes late or even 1 hour late? They didn't even phone you to say they'll be late. How do you feel? If you feel good, there's a problem. That is very disappointing. You got to become somebody who's good at managing time. Keep time. If you schedule something to end at 1 o'clock, let it end at 1 o'clock so that another program can come in for your development. If you're going for a business deal, make sure you're on time. I'd like to go there half an hour early. And I say, if I'm traveling to another town, maybe it's going to take me 3 hours driving, I might as well spend a night in that town, spend a little more to keep the business going. Because once I dent my timekeeping, the word flows round and goes and say, oh, that company does not keep time. So you don't want to have that reputation. And business evolves as well. It develops so quick that if you're always late in meeting certain deadlines in your own business system, you find that you miss out on the bigger picture. The way you handle finances. There's one book I read that said that if you hear the sound of £1,000,000 and your heart begins to pump so hard, you're not ready for finances. You must be a person that money does not control you. You control money. Money must work for you. The way you handle it must show that actually you are in control, not that money is in control. If you're a type of a person that when you see or hear that's going to be big money coming to you, then you begin to see, oh, this holiday, some of you men, you begin to see 20 women. That is not right. Begin to look at finances as your servant. You must be prudent. Don't throw away pennies anyhow. Don't throw away coins anyhow. Make sure that money is put together nicely and valued and put to use in the right way. Places where you keep or invest your money. As an entrepreneur, you must start looking for other ways of keeping your money when you make it in your hands that you worked for with your own hands. You have to reinvest it. Let it also multiply elsewhere without your involvement. You must become financially literate and see how you can multiply your finances without your involvement. You leverage other systems. Do stocks work? Could investing in property be helpful, etc.? Research and find out what's suitable for you. The way you think about continuous personal development, which is now very common in the whole world, especially in the Western world. CPD. Are you a person who doesn't like reading or listening? If you don't like reading, nowadays the technology has advanced. You can get a book in word form or a spoken book. You just plug it in there. Somebody's reading for you. You're listening. Because the purpose of developing yourself is that you've got to be ahead of your business. When your business is running, you must be ahead. What next after this level? Because if you don't do that, competitors will catch up with you and wipe you out of the market. That's what happens. As an entrepreneur, keep developing yourself. Go to seminars, attend, listen, talk to other people. Sorry. I'd like to pause here and let's watch a video clip. I think I missed up some points there. Let's watch a video clip here on some cycle changes people went through to become entrepreneurs. One thing I like about the coming video clip is some of the gentlemen there were actually rejected. They went to look for a job, and it so happened that they passed through rejection. And for me, that rejection was good for them, so they can discover themselves as an entrepreneur. I'll let you listen to this for a good 20 minutes, and then we come back to the slides. Let's start from the word go. About 15 minutes or so. Let's go. Here we go. This is from a resource I found from on the YouTube. I think it's from a certain university or school, business school. Let's have a look. Here we go.
A session on what they don't teach in business school about entrepreneurship. Having taught entrepreneurship at the Stanford Business School for something like 13 years, I can tell you there's a lot. Some of it we know we don't teach it. Some of it we probably should teach if we knew a little more about the subject. So I think it's a very pertinent subject today. So Mike, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you did. Just remember, I've got a little bio here. Okay. So if you don't include things, I can include it. And if you do include things that are not here, I may question you.
Okay. It's like the Senate Investigation Committee.
Exactly. Except you're not sitting out there.
But I do get lights flashing at me.
Oh, that's true.
So I've been the CEO and co-founder of 4 startups. I was very lucky with the first 3. The first one was, I started with $500 of myself, and each of my 2 partners put in $500. So we had $1,500. We started in my second year of business school at the Stanford of the East Coast in Boston.
You're very kind.
We never raised venture capital. It started as a company called Dial a Fish. It was where you could order groceries from home. It was insane. It was before the internet and everything. We eventually sold it for, we had to change direction because that was not going to work, to a computer telephony tool. We sold it for $13 million a few years later, which was tiny for Silicon Valley standards, but a fair New England return on the $1,500 investment. The second company was Direct Hit, which was an internet search engine. Nobody ever heard of Direct Hit, but we were providing search results to Microsoft, AOL, Lycos. We're kind of a behind-the-scenes provider. And it was the right time. We grew to a market value of $500 million 500 days after we launched it, and we sold it in January of 2000. And then the third company was Xfire, which is an instant messenger for PC video gamers. It spread virally. We got to about 3 million users 2 years after launching. We sold it for $100 million to MTV, and now there's 15 million users using it. And I'm now working on my 4th one, which it could end up being, I want to be 4-0, but I could be 3-1 because we haven't sort of found the formula for success on Ruba. Ruba is a travel site. So that's sort of my background.
And when did you graduate from Harvard?
Oh, long time ago.
You have to get into numbers.
Well, yeah, the reason why is it's sort of interesting to know the timing of your first venture, right? sold it for $13 million.
Yeah.
Most of the other companies I know lost money, right?
So win by default.
Yeah.
Sure. So I decided I was going to stop aging at age 31. So I graduated Harvard from 1991. So I must have graduated around age 11. So
11.
you can figure out.
Good. All right, thank you. Zilla.
So I'm Nazila Alasti, and I started life as an engineer. I'm Iranian originally, and in my country, if you're a good student, you either become a doctor or an engineer. So that was the choice, and I was scared of blood, so off I went into engineering school. But it was actually a really great background, I thought, for Silicon Valley. I didn't know I would end up here, but I did. And I was thankful for my parents for having pushed me into engineering. Fast forward 5 years of working a technology company, Advanced Micro Devices. I became a project designer, project lead, went to a business school, and learned that people can actually make money selling pencils, and that it doesn't have to be semiconductors. That was my big learning from business school. Entrepreneurial activities at the time were not as hot as they are now.
When did you graduate?
I graduated in '88, so I also stopped aging at 30, a few years earlier than you. Yeah. And I have to say that my experience at business school was really eye-opening, broadening, but I wouldn't say that I was focused on necessarily becoming an entrepreneur. It seemed very risky at the time. However, after I got out and experienced the venture capital world for a couple of years, and then went on to work at Apple, which I consider really my formative years at Apple, and worked on a big failure of a project called Newton, which was the original handheld device. I came to understand that I really needed more freedom in my life, and that the corporate structure wasn't providing that. And I was stupid enough or naive enough to say that I could do things on my own. So I started a long line of all sorts of startups, failures as well as successes, and ended up now running Juners, which is my first from PowerPoint to funding to product startup, where I'm CEO, founder, and growing that business. So that's a little bit about me.
Zilla's also the mother of 2 daughters.
Yes, I am.
And someone who is passionate about trying to help those of you who are thinking about entrepreneurship learn more about it. So that's why she's here today.
Yeah, let me add to that, Chuck.
Sure.
Thank you for bringing it up. I also want to talk to the women in the group, if you're interested afterwards, about why I believe entrepreneurship is actually a very valid choice and compatible with being a mother. So anyone who's interested in discussing that, I'm open to doing that. The world will tell you, no, it's 24/7, etc. Unless you burn the midnight oil, you won't be successful. I happen to have a different story. So if anyone is interested, I'm happy to share that.
Let me just pause there regarding family. The lady here has brought out a very important point. I believe it goes to both a father and a mother. If you become an entrepreneur, family is important. You got to create some time. I think the lady here did a fantastic thing to open up in this meeting. So my point I'm trying to draw to you is that as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of changes they're going to go through. And you can see some of these people on the panel, they began from one career to employment, quitting, etc., until they found their feet. So it's important to realize that there's a lot of change. Let's continue and listen to this resource.
Thank you. So we've heard from 2 people who actually had technical backgrounds. Will, give us your background and what you're doing now.
Thanks, Chuck. So I graduated in 1999 from Kellogg, and I've been in the Valley since then. I've done a combination of both startups and venture capital activity. So currently I'm the CEO of Sequoia and Hummer Winblad funded company called Widgetbox. And I joined Widgetbox 2 years ago, and before that I was the managing director at Hummer Winblad and spent 6 years in the venture capital business. So since I got out of business school, I've had kind of the opportunity to see both entrepreneurs in action as a venture backer and thinking through business models and deciding who to finance and who not to finance. And then also having decided that to become an entrepreneur myself, and it's only recently I even consider myself one, quite honestly. But the last couple of years of running a small startup that's not profitable makes you one, I think. It's been a very interesting time to run a company. So no, I'm definitely excited to be here today and kind of share my thoughts about what business school taught me, what it didn't teach me about how to lead a company, bring products to market, sell, etc. And Chuck's right. Like in terms of backgrounds, I went to Harvard, studied East Asian Studies and Finance, and started my career actually in Asia. So I worked in Hong Kong and Singapore, spoke Mandarin Chinese, and thought I was going to be part of the Asian miracle. And so I've done. I'm not coming in from an engineering background, in other words. And so part of one of the questions today, I think, is how do MBAs and finance people fit into a culture that's really driven by engineers as opposed to business types, and kind of the MBA being a joke as opposed to something good. I'm happy to be here and look forward to a good discussion.
Now, one of the things, Will, if I'm correct in reading this and listening to you, you joined Widgetbox after it had actually been founded.
That's correct. So there were 3 technical founders. They'd actually raised $10 million before I got there.
Some from you.
Some from me. I was the seed financer, and then Sequoia did the A round, and then Brent Jones and Tommy Bardell at Northgate did the B round. And at that point, they were looking for a CEO, and they did a 9-month search. And the last guy that we made the offer to, I told myself at the dinner, if this guy doesn't take the job, I'm doing it. He didn't take the job. So yeah.
So some different paths here. I mean, starting their own company, going out and trying to find the idea, put the team together, versus joining a startup after it's had the initial founders. The way we want to start this is to ask them a little bit about what.
Okay, let's end there for the moment. We might come back to this resource in due course. But what I wanted you to learn from this is that there are various levels at which you can decide to become an entrepreneur, and there are different reasons to why people go into entrepreneurship, and also that it is a cycle of change that you got to go through. Some of it circumstances forces it, and it's good also to realize that circumstances can actually push you into discovering yourself. These are examples I just wanted to look at. We'll come back to this resource at some point in the course of the lesson. Now let's go back to my work. Okay. For a bit, what I want to do is let me just go back to which slide? I just go back to that introduction to cost-benefit analysis. In the cost-benefit analysis, what I wanted to intimate to you is, for every business idea that you spot, you must look at, is it really going to balance the figures? Would it be income and expenditure be in your favor? If you take expenditure out of the income in that potential business, would it give you a good sum of money which you can live on and run the business? That's a key factor. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, especially social entrepreneurs, those who have got an inclination to helping the community as opposed to making a lot of money, you're going to have this balance of sustainability. In Unit 3, we'll look at a cost-benefit analysis in more detail. We're going to look at a spreadsheet and everything else. So at this point in time, I will close this lesson, and I'll introduce lesson 2 to just conclude on the cycle of change that you need to go through, because I left out some points there because the system didn't help me. I trust that you have enjoyed listening to this presentation, which I believe is helping to set the foundation for your business launch, or otherwise helping your business to continue. Thank you very much, and God bless you.